Hello, and welcome to another wonderful episode of Submitted for Your Approval, the Halloween special, one day late, for the collective community-created card game where you make the cards. I am joined today by my faithful co-host, Grief.
Howdy, folks.
And we are joined by Empty Folder.
Hello, everyone.
He didn't have a costume, but luckily some video filters came in to help him out there. So I wanted to get started straight away with Fermented Mana, which is a 5-drop spirit exclusive action from Tutela. Gain 2 max mana at the end of the turn. If you have unused mana while this is in hand, reduces cards cost by 1. So I thought this design was particularly interesting, giving spirit access to some mana ramp and creating some end of turn unused mana designs for spirit heroes. So there's been some talk about getting Dhat back into the meta somehow and giving him some options. And ramp could potentially be one of those things, but of course this strikes a weird balance with Dhat because he has to give up turns to get the most effect out of this card. So what did we think of this? I'll let you start, Grief.
It's in a pretty particularly weird spot. It's kind of an interesting control tool where you can ramp out some. We can actually use this on turn 3 if you manage the turns correctly and use stuff like spiders or other high HP units that only cost like 1 to 2 mana over the last 3 turns. Last 2 turns. So this is actually kind of funny to use with them, allowing you to actually get into your huge control units on turn 4-5 already. And I think that's pretty good. Especially KM cannot use this, which is also meh considering that KM already got nerfed. So that's one thing. I don't really know if Marie really wants to use this or if the new hero Hawkins can actually benefit from it. Technically, he could, but he has other issues, especially with his hero reward stats.
Yeah, what do you think, Empty?
Yeah, I think this is mostly for Dhat and Marie. It's interesting. I think it's going to be really hard to like find those turns where you can like not spend all your mana to reduce this, especially against a lot of aggressive decks. It's going to be really difficult to do that. Although against those, you probably won't need the max mana as much. It's a neat card. It'll be fun for deck building.
Definitely. Now, let's go from the really interesting and I don't know how to use it to I definitely know how to use it and I don't know if it's broken or not. Everyone else seems pretty confident about this. Dhat's Fanatic is a 6-drop spirit exclusive plant monkey arcanist from nowhere in particular. 6/6. With summon, all units in your deck become 6/6 and cost 6 permanently. So a while ago, Grief created this card called Cliffside Tusknute, and it created this idea in people's heads about getting a bunch of Dhat, a new way to do Dhat fatties, and this is like just makes it ridiculous, doesn't it? Right?
Yes.
Yes and no, and that's the funny thing with this card. because there's certain aspects about this particular card which make it both busted and actually pretty fair.
Yeah.
Thing is, as an alpha player, I remember the age of old flat tags. Back in the day, flat tags was a 5-mana action that was neutral, that said until the end of the next turn, cards in both players' hand cost 5. Why was that important? For everyone who knows Magic's show and tell or sneak attack, this is basically what happened because cheaper cards will now cost 5, but costlier cards that cost like 12, 13 mana could be cheated out on turn 6.
Yeah.
Because they now cost 5 mana. Similar case with this one. Sure, it's a unit, so it's pretty much okay. Pretty much a better version of old flat tags since it also has a body and it's 6/6, costs 6, but it is first of all spirit exclusive. So you don't, while you have ramp shenanigans, and we already seen something like fermented mana. On your hand, this cannot reduce cards in your hand.
Yeah.
It only reduces the cost of cards in your deck, so you cannot have your fat units you want to cheat out earlier in hand, and you have to actually draw into this dude before them as well. That's basically a similar issue that came up with certain decks like Or, where Or cares about cards in your deck, but whenever you actually have your ramp your Or targets in your hand, you're pretty much fucked. Next thing. Yes, this is extremely powerful and allows you to play a box for 6 mana and gain the benefits of a box now having 6 attack. Now, what is the issue here? Get to fucking 6 mana spirit on Molester, where you have to build around either a control deck or have a ramp deck where you can actually get to there. Have to find a tutor effect for it, which could work with cards like what was the card called again? Where you discard a card and draw a card from its realm? Narrator, which could allow what? Not a narrator. Not realm. The biologies where you where you.
Oh yeah, same tribe. Yeah.
For a tribe, because this has a monkey tribe as well, and we like have 3 monkeys that we could perhaps use with this. So yeah, there are a lot of limiters already on this card. But if it works, it fucking works.
Yeah, and I think it'll definitely be interesting to see different kind of builds. If Tusknoot does come out with this, then Tusknoot is going to, then if you don't remove your opponent's Tusknoot, you're going to be having a really rough time. But this has the potential to do a lot of really, this has the potential to be a great treat or a great trick, depending on who's playing against it and who's playing it.
This technically enables a new deck. It's the level of busted that actually allows you to, oh yeah, there's a new damn deck object type I can actually now try.
Yeah. Empty, what do you think about it?
Yeah, I think it's really busted. Also, interesting point. Bip and Bop, they're a monkey, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So you can. This has a dedicated tutor card because you can always just play Infinite Index. And yeah, like Reef said, there's only 3 monkeys. This is guaranteed.
Well, Index will also fetch Plains and Arcanist.
No, not if you play it on Bip and Bop.
Oh, if you play it on Bip. Oh, yeah. Yikes.
And that's built into your hero. So you don't have to run any other monkeys.
You don't even have to run Dhat's Fanatic.
You'd have to play around with when you're gaining XP so that you always get Bip and Bop on initiative and they can't remove it.
Yeah.
But you can have a dedicated tutor for this. And like, man, there is so much broken stuff you can do with this. Like playing a Schlorp for 6. And then, of course, we also just got Don Ruku. So you can wheel your hand into a new one with that has all 6 cost cards, as well as 6 cost Tusknoot.
Yeah.
As I said, this actually now enables a new damn deck, which is Newt Fanatic. I love it already.
Yeah.
I heard you don't love it.
Okay, Kaufhand, the guide, is a 2-drop Spirit 1/3 Spectre Arcanist from Walnocht. With the first time you discard a card each turn, deal 1 damage to an enemy unit. So it's free value, but only a little bit of free value. Or only once a turn. But if you're playing Spectres, this will probably be good. So I know that there's these 3 designs from Spike Bear that all kind of have all got in now that are like this trio of caretakers of the dead kind of thing.
Like tormentors.
Tormentors. Halem, Elam, and Kaufhand. So I'm actually gonna let Empty talk about this one first because Grief's been kind of going long. What do you think about this one?
I think it's a fine card for Spirit decks. There's like some, or Spectre decks. There's some interesting things you can do with it. Like my first thought is putting Deadly on it with Deadly Nightshade, and then you just get to kill something every turn, which is like fairly decent since like at 2 mana, 1/3, it's pretty survivable.
Yeah.
And then like with Marie, you can put the potion on it to give it extra health. Yeah, I think spirits will be quite good next month, because there's another 2 spirits that just gone in, and then this month we got more Spectre synergy cards. So I think the deck is shaping up pretty nice.
Or if you don't want to dilute your tribal pool and run Deadly Nightshade, of course, we now have the option of running Irradiated Bite and giving this Deadly Ward.
Yeah, that is true.
And that could be potentially pretty scary, because you're going to hit that discard a card each turn, your Spectres. So we'll see where that goes. What do you think of this, Grief?
It's in a fine spot.
Yeah.
It's a one-time trigger per turn, which you can probably enable. On the other hand, it doesn't care about the amount of cards you discard. So
yeah,
even if you, what was the hilarious example? I think mind drain yourself, you still run it.
Yeah.
Would probably have pretty good reach together with Huntsman.
Yeah, this plus Huntsman could be potentially really annoying.
Actually, I wonder what the order would be for the triggers, because that matters.
Technically, this Huntsman and Spook Blast would be a reach of 6 damage.
Well, Spook Blast doesn't do damage.
The Spook Blast? Oh, Spook Blast. No.
That's destroy with less attack.
Doesn't it? Does it destroy the damage?
Yeah, if it has 3 or less attack.
Okay, 3 or less attack. Okay, good. Then it's reach of potentially 2 to 3 damage.
Yeah. So it'll be an interesting contribution to the Spectres deck. The Living Energy Drink is a 3-drop strength 2/1 Wisp Drink from Chromosome. By the way, Drink is an established tribe on actions. Agile and summon. This card gains rebound and flying, draw a card. So this is a reference to the energy drink from the core set, in that it gives itself rebound and flying and draw a card, and it has agile. So this is kind of like Ruthless Zaptor, but better, and with evasion and in strength. This is actually, I think, really, really powerful. It replaces itself, gives you a great aggro tool. Course, now we got to look at what Dex is going to go into. Heldim can maybe get some use out of this because it's got evasion and whatnot, but Hawkins can't make anything out of those 2 tribes. So I don't really know where this card belongs, but it's actually pretty good value, I think, for its cost. What do you think, Empty?
I'm not really sure. It's in an awkward spot where I don't think it fits into too many decks. Because, like, in Heldim is very aggressive right now. I haven't really played much since the new meta. But last time I checked, Heldim was mostly self-sack and vamps, which I'm not sure would run this. It'd be interesting in self-sack, because like you could get the card draw and sack it every turn. But that deck already has mine for like its card draw.
Yeah.
And then in Perlma, like you do sort of want this like sticky draw unit. The problem is it's aggressively statted, and Perlma is not that aggressive. And then, like you said, the tribes aren't too relevant. So I'm not sure. Like, it is a decent card. I just don't think it has a home right now.
Yeah, it's got like a but who question floating over it. Is there anything in particular that maybe KM would want about this?
That's the thing that I was contemplating. Technically, maybe KM could use it as a 3/2 with Agile.
Well, the new buff's only plus attack, so it's a 3/1 Agile.
Yeah, 3/1 Agile. That's basically a fireball on a stick. That you could reach like.
Yeah.
The problem with like running this in KM is that usually in KM you want your strength units to have high health so that you get the most value out of the duelist.
Yeah.
In this case, it's less about the duelist and more utilizing it as a technically a fireball that draws you a card.
Yeah.
But like, okay, if you're going after a card draw, wouldn't you just run Paper Phantom?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but it gets you a little bit of both, and I don't know. I mean, if you're running, if we get more cards that have like Saboteur designs on them, where they want to hit the opponent in the face and get an effect out of that, like the Pirates or whatever, then I think this would be a really great inclusion in a KM Saboteur's deck. But currently, I don't think we have that deck. So yeah, I agree. It just really doesn't have a home.
By the way, do we have Demon in a Bottle in the game? Because this looks like a recolor version of that.
I don't think this art's ever gotten in.
Yeah, it's kind of cursed art. I've seen it quite a few times.
Yeah.
Okay.
By the way, I forgot to say when we actually transitioned into current active submissions. This is an active submission, and this is an active submission. Necrod Monger is a 4-drop spirit 3/3 Lisbo from Unguya. One of these days I need to have space on the show and tell me how to pronounce that. Summon. When a friendly unit dies this turn, return it to play. So this is a really, really interesting design and reminds me of the Eggs deck from Magic the Gathering. Of course, we can't really do proper eggs, but it's a second Sunrise effect where it's like, play as many things as you can, hopefully proc me like summons or something, and then sweep the board, and then get everything back. It's a little different from eggs, but I think this is really, really interesting and gives Spirit some interesting tools. Of course, the biggest board wipe that it can really leverage at 4 mana, you're not going to wait till 11 and do Earthquake in this. You're going to wait till maybe 5 or 9 and do Forest Descenders in this. But if you can pull it off, you get a lot of potential value. And if you just know your opponent's likely to wipe the board for you, you can throw this on as sort of an insurance policy. And with maybe something like Actor, you can make sure your board's going to basically be immortal. So what do you think of this, Grief?
I think this can technically go infinite.
Oh, yeah.
Empty. More.
Yeah. Oh, so yeah. This is like a really neat combo card.
Oh, yeah. That could be fun.
It really depends how this is blocked. Like that matters a ton.
Yeah, I think this can actually go to 13 with more.
As it's worded, it would go infinite with Maw. And Maw would just be a board clear.
Yes.
Put this together with more into the undead into the undead Lazaro deck that's currently pretty damn strong, and yeah, get your what 5 damage more every time. Get your 5 damage more out of the graveyard every time.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. What's interesting about these is like, I lost my train of thought. Empty, what do you think of this?
Yeah, so I think this is very problematic. The thing is, I also sort of like it because it's a fun combo card.
Yeah.
The issue is that Maw exists, so you can just like put this into a normal undead deck, and it's suddenly a combo deck too now.
Yeah.
But like, there's a lot of interesting things you can do. One of my first thoughts is you get something in play like the Neon Viper, and then you play Fallout with this in play in order to trigger it 13 times. There's like some really fun synergies you can do, but Maw existing is really problematic.
I mean, we could probably nerf more again to have actually bad costs, so people place them on this kind of update. So Maw is more balanced.
Well, but yeah, even if he had a cost to come back, which I've been advocating for, even though I run the Maw deck, that wouldn't affect this combo.
Yeah, because it's the entrance, this duel's a thing that makes the
combo.
No part of that has to do with his recursion. This gives him an alternate recursion ability.
I mean, technically, this is just another way of old Fallout combo.
Yeah.
This will always have a card that will combo with it.
So it's fun shenanigans, but might be too busted. I don't know. How's it actually doing? It's doing like 3. Psychomimic, qu'est-ce, is a 3-drop neutral 1/4 nightmare shapeshifter object from nowhere in particular. Ambush, leap, and entomb. Create a random equipment action in your hand. So this builds out the idea of doing more equipment stuff. So as the fresh home of the spirit equipment archetype or bits and pieces of it, what do you think of this one, Grief?
I like it where it is actually stands. It fits basically a pretty good spot for any kind of equipment shenanigans you want to do for the online, regardless of affinity. This is like, yeah, it's from the stone on a stick without the cost reduction, but actually decent-ish because it's also a body that can benefit from potentially created, potentially created equipments. On the other hand, it's a random equipment. It can be any cost and any affinity.
Yeah. I've been playing around recently with the idea of trying to find other decks where Dunewalker Sorceress would be good. And this would be a funny thing to Dunewalker Sorceress, but good luck figuring out what you're doing after that. Just any way to get caught, or anyway, he generates quite a bit of value, but the fact that it's random kind of spoils it for me. I don't know. Like, if it was Scout, it might be busted. What do you think, Empty?
I think this is pretty weak. The problem is a lot of the time, like, if you're playing against aggro, then yes, like this can block and will kill itself. But like against control and stuff, they're just gonna let you have this on the board and it's gonna do nothing. And then even when it does die, like it is a random equipment. So you could get something pretty bad from this.
Yeah. And especially like now that we're building out the spirit equipment archetype.
At 3 mana, you really don't want a card that like could potentially do almost nothing depending on the matchup you're in.
Yeah. Okay. Wickend Fiend is a 2-drop strength 1/3 demon from nowhere particular with summon, scavenge, banish a card in graveyard, a unit to gain its attack. I was really curious as to what scavenge meant, so I looked it up on Wiktionary.
Okay. Stop making fun of him. Stop making fun of Super Son. He actually posted a card shortly before he went to work.
Okay. Sorry, I wanted to have a little bit of fun. Misspelled scavenge.
Especially you shouldn't point at other people when it comes to card design.
Hey, my cards are meticulously spell checked. I had a good joke about like mid-century tariffs too. Honk. So this actual card, you banish a card in a graveyard, a unit in a graveyard, and this gains its attack. I would almost say ouch, because potentially this is the old problem of, well, there are a lot of units that are like have really, really high costs, and you can get a bunch of things. But at that point, it's asking to be removal bait. So we kind of worked back and forth on Discord on this, and I'm really not sure how to feel about it. Because if it's kind of feast or famine, if it's good, you're going to take out a huge chunk of your opponent's health total. And if it's bad, it's just awful. Either way, I do think it's potentially over curve, because even if you have any unit in your graveyard, it's going to be better stats. And the banish in strength is not really a meaningful downside. What do you think, Empty?
Oh, I think this card's great. The thing is, it's sort of like a bounce back card. Like you can't play this turn 2 most of the time.
Yeah.
Because even if your opponent removes whatever you played, this is going to be like a 2/3, which isn't very good. But like late game, you can take like whatever your opponent's biggest thing was, or whatever your biggest thing was, or maybe you're playing some weird deck built around this mechanic where you discarded like really big cards in order to make use of this. But like I think that's totally fine, because it is, at the end of the day, it's just a vanilla unit, so you still have to put in extra work to like get the damage through if that's what you want. So yeah, I think it's totally fine. Also, like interesting graveyard hate for aggressive decks, which is neat.
Yeah. What do you think, Grief?
It's totally fine. This is nothing great or anything. It exists. The only gripe that I have is it's not a damn keyword.
Well, and this one is really interesting and weird to build. It's like, I don't see this being a particular like build around word. It's misspelled. And it doesn't, first of all, it's an action word specifically. And action words, I think, are bad introducing in their own right, because
By the way, just in case you're having more gripes with spelling mistake, it's actually against the rules to criticize the spelling of submitted cards.
It's my show, though.
It's an actual submission rule, though, by the developers.
Okay. Sorry, Super Son. Honk, honk. The Bell Who Tolls is a 2-drop strength 1/4 human knight from Talira with duelist. Units that enter a graveyard get -1, -2 permanently, and actions get banished. So this one, I don't like that it doesn't use the standard wording for triggers. This is a trigger, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That just personally like confused me for a second. You picked this one, right, Grief?
Yeah.
What do you think of it?
I did the creation of the card more passively because the way this card is worded is technically the fault of Popgun. But that's not the case. That's not the thing that I actually wanted to focus on. It's more the overloaded nature of the card, because before anything else, this was just a unit hate card.
Yeah.
Which is fine, because it at the beginning only reduced the stats by -1/-1 of units that enter the graveyard, which is fine. Popker intervened and basically said, yeah, this does nothing and has to have an action clause as well and has to punish units even more, and why? It was a perfectly fine card before. It's now a better tech card against undeads and so on and so forth, and can help you get permanently rid of certain other cards as well that may or may not return from the graveyard. Thing is, though, why? On the other hand, it's not forbidden to hate names, and the Bell Who Tolls is a stupid name. Sorry, J-Ted. Should have just called her She Who Tolls or something like that.
I was also initially confused about the art, because this skin tone was a little bit too close to this metal tone for me, and I thought that was all part of the human's face. If you accidentally see that, I don't know if you can unsee it, but it's not a pleasant thing to see because it's like they have duck lips. No, I like the art. I do like the art, except for the face area. I do like this. I do think this card, by the way, if you're just evaluating it in a vacuum, is a little overpowered to its cost. Because it's already like, I mean, it does have the thing where it's a duelist with low attack, but it's already like 5 points of stats on a 2-drop with a keyword and an additional ability.
It's a pretty overloaded hate pair. I don't have anything against hate pairs, and they probably need to be extremely overloaded to be of any use.
Yeah, I think it is a little pushed. I do think it's good. I do think the art is good, minus the qualms I said. But like currently, I think this is a little bit too powerful. But the idea is there, and I like the idea.
I mean, is it? It's just powerful against one deck.
But that's my deck.
Yeah, it is basically like the ultimate Bula undead hate card.
Yeah. And I just think currently that deck has too many clean answers. It's getting more and more clean answers where you don't have to work so much to put them in the deck.
It doesn't.
And it just answers all of it. I don't know.
Doesn't. Undeads are pretty damn powerful and got a new damn hero to boost. That makes it even more worse. Do you know how Lazara works?
Yeah.
It's a stacking permanent aura buff.
I also love that it's better to just run Penumbra and Lazaro than actually just run the Spirit Hero.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds bad. MT, do you have any more thoughts for this?
Not really. Grief covered most of it.
Sorry.
I'll let MT go first next time. The impossible task, which I think we talked about. Did we talk about this or just tax collection?
I think tax collection.
Okay, so this is another part of the whole Greg saga thingy that Hanoi and Space Turtle have been trying to push out. Impossible task is a 0-drop mind legend from Perodus, innate, and once you draw 50 cards, get plus 10 max mana. You have to really be wheeling and dealing and whimsing and dark boxing and doing a lot of stuff, I think, to get this effect off. And once you do, it is probably later in the game than it's going to matter, but maybe I'm wrong about that. MT, what do you think?
You're not wrong about that. I mean, they named it correctly because this quest is basically impossible. I don't see any deck that could like reliably pull this off. It like even with multiple Winds of Fate, at like max cards, you're getting 12 on this.
Okay, so I'm putting myself in the headspace of a guy who's running this. I have Lady Taichi. I have maybe Penumbra to get one of the red or green, both players draw a bunch effects. And then I'm milling a bunch, and then maybe cycling my deck back with Dark Box, which means I'm not running a lot of units. Am I Rictic? Who am I? I don't know. And even so, what am I doing with that plus 10 mana when I already have 13 mana by the time I've gotten this off? Grief, what do you think?
I actually just brought up the card. I just picked the card because I wanted to know if you guys know why this exists. I mean, this week we have like 7 or 6 cards created either to just troll the submission process, have stolen art on it, or basically both. But even created by, even made by or submitted by newly created accounts that are just 1 to 2 weeks old. This is close to meme territory, but not as bad as the other submissions, but it's pretty close.
Yeah. Okay, let me put it this way. So the Babel scale is about cards that should not be in the game. We have cards this week that are like 7s and 8s on the Babel scale, because either they break the rules and we get Odious in big trouble, or they have that by means of having stolen art, or they have effects that don't explain what they do. This one is not on the Babel scale. There's nothing stopping it from being in the game. It just doesn't do anything. This is a Babel 1 or a Babel 2. But yeah. I think this card needs to be tested. I want Hanoi or Space Turtle to come to me and say, here's this deck I'm running on, here's the turn I can get this effect off, and here's what I'm doing with it. And if they can't answer any of those questions, then why are they submitting this card?
I would start by like reducing the effect to 20 and then testing it.
I do like the art and I do like the story they're trying to build. I just don't think this is a card that does anything.
I mean, even if you're making it 25, which is basically the cost of stuff like, what's it called again? Reduce our cards to 0.
Starlight Pendant.
Starlight Pendant. Then you have a card that you will always look at, how can I break it? Is it worth to break it? Now it's just, why does it exist?
This card needs testing, and I want to know how I'd be running this, because currently I don't know.
Thanks, so I was the only one.
So this is the start of your start of Griefs or start of Empties or end of Griefs?
Mine still.
Okay. Spy Roach is a 1-drop neutral 1/1 insect from nowhere in particular. Leap, units with more attack can't block this, and when this damages a player, reveal their hand. This is super cute. I know Asdras has been working toward getting more insects in the game. This is a neat... first of all, we have a novel type of evasion, which I really like. This is a Skulk from MTG. And this is a chance for more hand interaction and getting a design in there. I would be really, really interested to see what we could do with this. What do you think, Grief?
Perfect design. Good cost, good stats, a keyword that A makes sense and B isn't really taxed on the stats because leap is basically a non-keyword. A good effect to actually enable its purpose, which is hand information. Overall, this is a design when we had impossible tests where we don't know what we're doing with it. This is by Roach where we know what we're doing with it and doesn't run its mechanics or initial purpose into the wall.
Yeah, so this is 9, and I'm gonna go upvote it after this. But like, I like how clean it is, like you said. And honestly, what this for me gets me excited because it's got a tribe on it. We got a bunch of tribal heroes coming out, and it's making me ask, maybe could we do some other designs that use this stuff for insects? So like, maybe can insects have discard or running away with your opponent's cards like a bunch of little ants at a picnic? Or maybe we could also do something with that. And this makes me think of new design directions. So I like it as a design, not only for what we got, but for maybe what else we could do with it. What do you think, Empty?
I really like the design as well. I think it's like a tiny bit underpowered. I think it could be a 1/2 and be fine.
Yeah.
It's like currently it's kind of hard to get this through because like a lot of units in collective have 1 attack or less and can block this.
Yeah.
And like revealing your opponent's hand, it's okay, but it's not great. And it is just like a 1 hit, a 1/1. And then leap, of course, is just like trinket text. Usually doesn't come up. Although like it's all right for like, I don't know, blocking Cassie or something.
And it gives us another Saboteur design, which I would love to see a Saboteur's deck.
That's the last one of my picks.
Yeah. I'm on top of it now. Pocky Universe is a 3-drop neutral artifact from Black Rift. Nobody told me about this. Scout a card at the end of the turn. Return this to your hand. Ooh. I like this design. Thank you for picking it, Empty. Why did you pick this design today? What?
You did.
I did?
I did.
Oh, Grief did.
Oh.
The guy who Black Rift, by the way. But doesn't hate this card. This is a neat, clean way to make Scout or reusable Scout in a game. It's okay statted, it's not powerful, it's not too bad. It's technically at a perfect spot where you can say, I can pick this, build a quirky deck around it, and it enables it. At 2, it would probably be a little bit too good. Maybe not. Maybe it is. As I said, I don't really like scouting as well, but
yeah,
it's a card, so in that case, you could probably reduce the cost anyway. But back to the topic. This is something that gives basically to the Timmies and single player community a card that they want to probably play around with, because at the end of the day, it's just a random draft card that you can probably repeat anyways. If there are cards that interact with creating cards in hand and so on and so forth, this will probably be there to help you out.
So once we get more cards that interact with non-native, which is what Black Rift's been trying to do, this will really, really help out because it's a consistent effect. A minor thing is Black Rift has been trying to put Portal on effects that Scout, but that can easily be cosmetic if we really want to. This could be really, really fun in Sentinels, because if the new Sentinels is anything like the old Sentinels, and that it lets us have cards that say recruit copies of cards in play, then this could be really, really neat because it could let us stretch and get new stuff in our decks in those matches where we can run long. But of course, a lot of that speculation based around stuff we don't know yet. Overall, I love this effect. Totally approve it. Totally upvoting it. What do you think of it, Empty?
I obviously I'm not the biggest fan of like scouting effects, but like this is the type of card where I would be totally fine like if this got in. Like as you said, it's like a fun single player card. It's not like super overtuned or competitive. It just lets you get some value late game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's fun.
Okay. So that's good to know. At least we have your guys' blessing on this. Because I know I'm more of the jank player. And okay, now we're getting into Empty's picks. Sorry, guys. Fairborn Fist is a 1-drop neutral equipment with giving you a +1 attack and overrun. Create a Furious Ferroborn in hand. Furious Ferroborn is a 4-drop neutral 4/3 elemental with overrun, and when a card is played that targets this deals 3 damage to its controller. It's okay, so it hits your neat. Empty, what do you think of this design? I don't it takes a bit for me to parse.
It's so strange to me because it's like a Nombo with itself. Like, you don't want to play equipment on the Ferroborn because it'll smack you in the face.
Well, but you can't because you're playing it on a unit and that effect's already done, and then it creates this guy as a consequence.
Yeah, but like Fairborn Fists, you're going to be playing that in equipment deck.
Yeah.
And then it gives you a unit that's terrible for equipment.
Yeah, so I guess the justification would be that this is just supposed to be like a good aggro body that can then swing, and it punishes removal on it. So it's a 4/3 overrun that punishes it being removed. But it's an aggro body at like 4.
Yeah. I really, it really feels like these are 2 completely different cards that have very little in common. Like, I don't understand what's going on.
I agree with that on the confusion front. If we had more like Overrun Matters designs, I would be like, oh yeah, look, it gives them both overrun. Or it gives this overrun and this has overrun, but I don't really know. Grief, what do you think?
I think at cost 3 for first of all, this is an egoless card. Second of all, at cost 3, this would be a food card. Because it only cares if it's targeted by cards, but food doesn't target. Or food doesn't target. And it's
but like for food, 4 costs is too high.
As I said, at 3, it would probably be food.
Even then, I don't know. Because like you have to have a unit out to play the fists in the first place.
Or we say it's basically a 2-cost card because it's created by a neutral card already.
Yeah.
So we would probably make Fairborn a 2-cost card as well. Maybe even buff the attack by 2. So a 2-cost card that creates a 2-cost unit with 4/3, which would be fine as an aggro unit because it's now a 2-drop with 4/3 stats that has to be technically removed because it has overrun. And second of all, it can benefit from food effects.
What would even be cooler, and just hear me out on this, is if this was maybe a 3-drop 3/3 remove overrun from this, and instead of Ferroborn Fist, make it like Ferroborn Sandwich, and it's now a food with that as a feed with this as a start effect and that as a feed effect. That would be really neat. Like, then I understand why its pieces all fit together, and I guess the Ferroborn is just hungry for metal food. As is, I do agree with what you guys are saying, that this is an equipment deck, doesn't work well with equipment. This might work really well with food because it has that bit of shielding on it. It's a nice overrun unit that would work in egolessness, but I only want one part or the other and not both. And it's maybe even it's not bad. Maybe this isn't a bad card. Maybe this isn't a bad card, but the package feels disjointed is the issue. Okay, Mana is at a 0, and I haven't looked at it yet, and I'm very excited to see what it looks. Oh, no, this thingy. I actually think this thing might be too powerful. This is a 5-drop mine 0/0 fish with this unit's attack and HP are equal to your max mana. When I said this, the question I asked myself is always? Is it always? Empty, did you look at the blocks?
Oh, no.
Oh.
I would assume it's everywhere.
Well, no, but I mean like always. Like when you damage it, does this HP go back up?
Oh, no.
Okay.
It's the same thing as Vineyard Jotun.
It's basically the same.
Okay.
It's basically the same thing like Vineyard Jotun / Automaton from way back when in Legacy, where it has the same stats as your card side, hand side.
Okay. So now that I know that, so it's a 5/5 on 5, and then it grows. So it's not it's not busted like I originally thought, but maybe it's less interesting. MP, what were your thoughts on this?
I mean, it's a very plain effect that just sort of scales up over time. I think it's a little bit weak, actually.
Yeah,
It's
I would
just
want to have
vanilla
ward or
stats.
something.
Yeah, and like vanilla stats are very bad.
Mm.
Like if your opponent just chump blocks this every turn with the 1/1, it's like barely doing anything.
Yeah. I mean, and Fischer is in a weird spot tribally. And I don't think this helps even with Lazaro. Throw ward and overrun on this, and I think this would be about where it needs to be, approximately. Because then I want to play it out and I want it to get big. As is, yeah, this is just it's an undervalued unit that stays undervalued. It becomes maybe a little better in turn like 8, but I don't want to hold on to it that long. Grief, what do you think?
It's technically a draft shaft card in a game that has no drafting.
Yeah, in a limited, this is great.
It's cute, but nearly misses the mark.
Yeah. Okay. Now, a card that is near and dear to my heart because I am one of the 4 people that contributed to it. The Quartet is a 5-drop spirit 4/4 human from Kaufhand. Has 3 shields and rage. This loses a shield. If it does, heal the full HP. So the idea with this that Ace originally had, Ace is medic, by the way, was to have 4 units that could switch in for the one brother whenever the brother got damaged, and the 4 units would be just useless. But that takes up a lot of board space for not a lot of effect, and then it's weak to board wipes, doesn't do a lot of innovative stuff. So I had the idea of having it to where all the switching would happen on the card. That was really confusing. A lot of people didn't understand what was going on. So we changed it to this design, which is a little simpler, and it still gives you, I think, the vibe that his 3 brothers are protecting him from beyond the grave. Oh, I forgot to put the Spectre type on this. Whoops. Oh, well. MD, what do you think?
Yes, so I was one of the people who had looked at the first version of this and had 0 idea what was going on.
Yeah.
This version is much clearer. I also think this is incredibly weak. Like the problem is 5 mana for like a vanilla 4/4 is really, really bad. And then like even if this was basically invincible, which is not, because if you deal 4 damage to it, it just dies. Like that still wouldn't be that good.
Okay. And I see what you mean. It does basically a vanilla unit. It has regenerate, air quotes. It's a little better than regenerate until it loses its last shield, and then it's worse. What do you think, Grief?
Why didn't you guys go with Absorb 4?
Endure, you mean?
Endure 4, yeah.
That would basically just make it like pseudo-invincible. And I don't know if that would have the same flavor. This is supposed to be like the spirits are discrete entities protecting him.
Because now it's a really bad card. With Endure 4, the 5 mana cost would probably be justified.
Yeah. Okay. That's something I'll think about and look into. How's it actually doing right now? It's doing all right. So it might take another week for this design to get in the game. We'll see. It definitely needs to get the Spectre tribe back on it because those 3 things are indeed ghosts. That was more whoopsie on my part. Like this whole thing was kind of designed by committee, if you couldn't tell.
I mean, the flavor idea is very interesting.
Yeah.
It's just like the power level is way out of tune.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing is Ace is the guy who did like the first part of this design. Then I kind of tried to get the idea onto a more manageable card. And his he has Carthian flavor that is good, as good, if not better than mine. It's just finding a way to translate that onto a card that works has been a little tricky.
Empty, what's your take on Endure 4?
What?
Having it be Endure 4 instead of all this text.
Oh. I mean, you would definitely lose a lot of the flavor, but
yeah.
Actually, I think that would still be pretty weak because like 5 mana 4/4 Endure 4. Yeah, that's still not doing too much because it's just an okay blocker.
But I mean, you have to deal 8 damage to kill it outright, 5 to even deal any damage to it.
Yeah, but why do you need to kill it?
Oh. Huh? Point taken. We'll look at it because I really want to get more. I want to get an Ace card in the game. I want to get an Eileen card, another Eileen card into the game. She did my art for invasive irradiated bite. So we'll see. Brushling is an amazing, beautiful piece of artwork. Brushling is a 2-drop spirit 1/4 plant from Entera. Whenever you gain 3 or more HP, gain +1 XP. So this is for the game 3 deck. Pretty aggressive in terms, well, not aggressive in terms of like abilities, but like I feel like it's a little pushed in terms of cost because it's, oh no, I guess it's behind curve a smidge. Grief, what do you think of this?
It basically lost a stat point for
a potentially busted effect.
Yes and no. It basically allows you to get more synergies, especially in plants and Marie / Hawkins plants, because plants is basically the only thing that makes Hawkins work currently. Yeah, I think it's fine because we have Slug, we have Pumpkin. This just fits right in there.
Yeah, and I mean, I do agree that game 3 needs more enablers. This is a little bit pushed. I don't think it's broken. But this could be really, really good for getting that deck online. So I like that.
Helps Dhat a lot also.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Good to slot into Dhat. Maybe gives Dhat some of those game 3 decks back. What do you think, Empty?
Yeah, I really like this for Dhat because that high HP value like really helps him out, and like having that XP rush. So maybe you can finally get to your final level and have it actually do something. I also I think this is a really neat design because like it works differently in different decks. Like you could potentially put this into like Cam or something and do like an XP ramp deck there because that's pretty strong. Or like you said, Hawkins, like doing XP ramp with plants. There's a lot of interesting things you can do with it. Like moving that 3 HP deck around and like testing out with the different heroes to see where it fits best.
Yeah, definitely. And so I would be excited to see this get in, helping build out game 3 because I want to run a game 3 deck, and it needs a piece like this. And I've always really loved this Grief art. In fact, I tried a couple designs with it at different points in time, and this art needs to get in the game. So I'm going to stop the share for now. I hope you all enjoyed our Halloween special and our low budget costumes. And well, except Grief, that mask is super fancy. Just wear, I don't know. That's like a work of art. That should be in a museum, man. Anyways, hope you had fun. Thank you as always to Grief and Empty for joining me.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Like, comment, subscribe, remind me why I'm doing this. And keep playing collective and keep voting on cards. Bye.